Welcome to you again, dear students. And today in the chapter 3, which is sexual reproduction in the living organism, starting with the first episode, how can we differentiate between the different types of sexual reproduction in the living organism. Let's start our episode today. Sexual reproduction. In this lesson, we need to learn more about sexual reproduction and how does it happen and how many number of individuals which is need. Well, actually, sexual reproduction, it needs two individuals, male and female. And the last time we studied asexual reproduction, and we said it needs one individual. It may be male only or female. Okay. While here we need what? We need male gamete, which contains half of genetic material, we call it N, and fuses with the female gamete, which also contains the half of genetic material. And by a process which is called fertilization, it gives us what? The zygote. The zygote is what? The fusion of male gamete with the female gamete. Okay, so both of them together give us what? They give us the final product, which is diploid or 2N, the same number of chromosomes in the parent cell. I mean, in each parent cell, male and female. Well, after that, it depends on meiosis or mitosis. It depends sure on meiosis or meiotic division to produce what? Haploid gamete. We call the mitotic division, we call it what? The reduction division. Reduction is mean what? The final result, the final product of the male cell. It gives us what? Cell which contains half of genetic material and also the same sequence in the female gamete. After that, gametes are produced by meiotic division, which includes what? Crossing over phenomenon. And as we said, the crossing over phenomenon, which it kind of replacement or the exchange, the internal chromatids of both of two individuals to allow the variations between the individuals, to allow the variation between species and individuals. So crossing over phenomenon, which causes variation. And also, the new individuals receive genetic information from both male and female. So it has absolute ability to adapt with the hard environmental conditions. Okay, and this is contradictory to the asexual reproduction. In the case of asexual reproduction, what did we say? We say that the individual, it cannot face the hard environmental conditions, okay, because it takes a copy from one of the individuals, male or female, while here it took the both of genetic materials, male and female, and over that we have also crossing over phenomenon, which give us what? A wide variation. It also takes more than one time and more energy. It takes what? It takes more time and more energy. I mean that it has a high biological cost. And actually, it is a question here. If I'm going to ask you, give reason, the sexual reproduction takes much more time and more energy, or by the meaning, it needs a high biological cost. Let me to give you the standard answer here. Number one, because, as we said, number one, it takes after time of maturation and preparation. What does it mean? Well, the sexual reproduction, it needs what? Male and female, okay? And the male and female, they need a time for maturation, for growing, to be well prepared for sexual reproduction. This is a time, so we need a much more time. And instead of what? Instead of the asexual, and also a time of preparation. Number two, remember the question is what? Why sexual reproduction it needs or takes a high biological cost? We say the answer here we have what? About 5 points. Number one, it takes after time of maturation and preparation. Number two, in some cases the organism must prepare a nest or burrows, nest or burrow like birds, for mating or guarding and carrying eggs or youngs. So this takes a much more time, and this is called a biological cost, and so on. After that also we have what? Some species keep the young within their bodies till birth. Like what? Like kangaroo. They keep the young inside the sack or something like that for a time till they became a young, and so on. Youngs remain with their parents in social life for what? More protection and also learning about their behavior. And this is also much more time. That you need to imagine that in case of human, we take much more time for maturation, about 14 or 15 years, and after that we need also the protection and learning more and more about the human behavior. All of that they are called what? High biological cost. Remember that. So yet we have also some reasons for biological cost of what? Biological cost of the sexual reproduction. Number two, production of new individuals is restricted to females only. Remember that. In case of asexual reproduction, and also at the end of this lesson I'm going to compare, we have a large comparison between sexual and asexual reproduction. But let me to remind you with something from the last lesson. In case of asexual, what did we say? We say the male or female, okay, it can reproduce. While here in sexual reproduction, the reproduction is restricted, limited only for females, okay? And we have two main types of sexual reproduction. Let's start with the what? With the types of sexual reproduction. Number one, we have two main types or two main methods. Number one, sexual reproduction by conjugation. Sexual reproduction by conjugation. Well, it happens in a primitive organism like protozoan, like algae and fungi. And we have also an example here for some algae. Number one, well, in this type of reproduction, it occurs by mitosis at suitable conditions. But remember, they turn to sexual reproduction by conjugation if they are subjected or they are exposed to a drought or a change in water temperature or purity and salinity and so on. There are different any and extra conditions that happens to the living organism. Okay, well, we have an example here for one of the most common algae, which is called Spirogyra. Called what? Spirogyra. So we have the example here, our example, conjugation in Spirogyra. We have two types of conjugation, okay? Number one, Spirogyra at the first, it just what? One row of cell, just one something like a ladder of cell which are unbranched filaments. They are not branched to each other. They are float on standing water, and they are common in the green scum. Okay, green scum, it's a group of green substances that found in salt and fresh water. Well, types of conjugation in Spirogyra, we have two types as we said. The first one is called scleriform conjugation. Called what? Scleriform conjugation. And scleriform is mean what? When the two filaments, they are contact to each other. When they are what? Contact to each other. The protrusion grows inward between opposite pairs of the cell. We have two cells, they are opposite to each other. A protrusion that appears from each cell. And after that, the walls between two cells disappeared. Absolutely what? Disappeared. And after that, the position of disappearing walls, something called between them a kind of bridge, okay, that form between them, and we call this bridge conjugation tube. So we have two cells, they are near to each other, okay, and a protrusion that appears from each one of them. Walls between them disappeared, and something called a conjugation tube or bridge between them that to connect two rows to each other. And what happened after that? Well, the protoplasm, what does it mean, protoplasm? Well, protoplasm, it means the whole content inside the cell, okay? Most of the contents inside the cell. We are called what? Protoplasm of each cell. So the most of contents or protoplasm of each cell, they are form something like sphere. They are circulate over itself. Spheres mean here they are form like a bubble, okay? And this bubble is what, or this sphere is what passes through the conjugation tube to form zygote. Again, we have two cells near to each other, and the wall between them disappeared, and formation of the sphere, and this sphere passed through the conjugation tube to form zygote. This is clariform conjugation. The zygote after that becomes coated by a thick coat. After that is what? Coated by a thick coat. Well, and it remains dormant. What does it mean, dormant? Well, dormant, it means there is no any motion. It's gonna be lazy, okay? It stays and remains without any action, without any reproduction, without any division, okay? Until the surrounding conditions become favorable or it improves to be well, and after that it germinates to give us a new filament or new individual of the spirogyra, and so on. This is the first step, which is scleriform conjugation. And the second type, which is what? Lateral conjugation. Well, remember, the scleriform, two cells or two different cells, they are what? They are near to each other. Okay, while here what we have what? It occurs between the cells of the same filament. We have the same filament, and the filament, it looks like as a ladder, okay, consists of more than one cell. Each two cells, they are behind to each other, they are followed by each other. Sometimes the same sequence also that happen, okay, it occurs between cells of the same filament. What happened? The protoplasmic content also, as we said, what does it mean, protoplasm? Protoplasm, everything inside the nucleus, okay, everything inside the cell, the spirogyra cell. Well, the protoplasmic content of one cell, it moves to the near cell or adjacent cell through what? Through an opening in the wall. It just, the wall also between them, it disappeared, okay, at the previous type, which is scleriform conjugation. Also the wall between them disappeared, and formation of a sphere, the same sequence, okay, but instead of two filaments, it happens in the same filament between two cells of the same filament. This is the difference between lateral and scleriform conjugation. After that also, the protoplasm form a zygospore that germinates when the condition become what? Favorable or improves, and that's everything about the lateral and scleriform conjugation. There is no formation of conjugation tube. So we have two differences between scleriform and lateral conjugation. In the scleriform, there is a conjugation tube, okay, while and also it happens between two different filaments. In case of lateral conjugation, it occurs in the cells of the same filament and there is no conjugation tube. Again, when I'm going to ask you complete the difference between scleriform and lateral conjugation space and space, number one, formation of conjugation tube. Number two, there is what it happens in what it happens between two different filaments in case of scleriform. And this is a form of, yes, I need you to tell me here. We have here two cells, Okay, when they are near to each other, what happened? Yes, the walls between them disappeared and the protoplasmic content transfer from one cell to another, and after that it formed zygospore. Zygospore coated itself by a thick coat. When the conditions become favorable, it gives us what? A new filament or new individuals. Yes, that is all. This is what? Yes, this is a scalariform conjugation of the spirogyra. What about here? This is a lateral conjugation in spirogyra. Okay, I need you to remember that there is no conjugation tube, and also it happens in the what? In the same filament between two adjacent cells. This is the difference between lateral conjugation in spirogyra and the scalariform conjugation in spirogyra. Well, after that, we're going to start. We have also give reason here for when I'm going to ask you, meiosis takes place. I mean mitotic division. Okay, takes place after fertilization or before germination in spirogyra. Think, and I'm going to give you the standard answer also. Thank you. Yes, because of what? The parent cell is haploid. I mean, it carries half of genetic material, while zygospore is diploid. It carries what? Yes, it carries the full genetic material. So zygospore divides by meiosis to form haploid cells, and similar to the parent cell. Get the difference? This is the ideal answer for the question here. And after that, I need you to compare between scalariform and lateral conjugation. And this is for you to compare between scalariform and lateral conjugation in spirogyra. Well, after that, we need to know that reproduction by sexual gametes. So we said that we have two main methods, conjugation and scalariform. But what about the reproduction by sexual gametes? It has some tips. We're going to talk about it, to discuss it right now. Number one, it is the reproduction of new individuals from what? Fusion of male gamete with the female gametes. And sure, after that, we're going to form the zygote. To form what? Zygote, which carries what? Which carries the complete or full genetic materials, which is 2N. Complete the embryonic development by mitosis. So the mitotic division, after that, it happens directly. Okay, there is no meiotic division. Just what? As soon as the male give us the male gamete and female give us female gamete by meiotic division, when they are fused together or merged together, they give us what? The zygote. Well, and we have a comparison here between the male gamete and female gamete. Just for you, one of the most important comparison between what? Male gametes and female one. Well, we have about 5 points to compare between male and female gametes. Number one, the number in each one of them. Yes, a male gamete, it's produced by a large number as they exposed to loss and damage. And we're going to discuss it when we start in the illustration, the reproduction in plant and also in human. While in female gametes, they are just few. It's maybe just one ovum, while in case of male gametes, there are thousands and sometimes there are millions. After that, the cytoplasm. Well, male gamete, small amount of cytoplasm, but for what? Well, remember that the cytoplasm, it's just the what? The nutrients of the nucleus of any cell. Okay, so male gamete, it needs to move, it needs to sometime like pollen grains in plant, they need to what? They are propagating in the air, so they need what? A very lightweight. They doesn't need much more amount of cytoplasm. So the amount of cytoplasm here is gonna be what, very small to help them, to facilitate or to help them in movement more and more. While in case of female gametes, they are what, they are they doesn't move much more, so they need what, much more cytoplasm to feed the embryo, because they are, as we said, the sexual reproduction restricted by female, and they are feed the female. So the female ovum or female gamete, it needs a much more cytoplasm. After that, we need to imagine the body of each of them. As we said, male gamete, it needs to move. So it's gonna be big or small? Yes, it will be what, small, and pointing to what, to facilitate the movement. Facilitate, I mean to be more easy movement. On the other hand, the female gametes, sure, it needs what, yes, to be what, spherical in shape, and also it doesn't move for a much more distance, such as male gamete. Also, locomotion. Locomotion is mean what, the movement. Which one of them, need you just to imagine which one of them will be moved and which one of them will be doesn't move, or we call it stationary, it doesn't move. Yes, the male gametes, it's a motile with locomotor tail or flagella, as we're going to study in human. While in case of female, it's stationary. It cannot move. Okay, and if the movement happen, it will be under effect of another organelles. Like in female, okay, the cilia, or that carry the female gametes, okay, but it doesn't move by its own self. So they are stationary. It means they doesn't move. Okay. And finally, the way of division in male gametes, each cell gives us 4 male gametes, okay, and all of them, they are survived. They can reach and can move to the female gametes. While in case of female gametes, it doesn't gonna be happen like that. But what, each cell gives us 4 cells, okay? Each one cell gives us what, 4. One of them just survive, and the other is what, they are degenerate, they are disappeared, and they are called polar bodies. So we have a great difference here between male gametes and female gametes. In case of male gametes, each cell gives us 4 cells. They are survive, and they can reach to the female gametes, okay, and maybe in one of them can fertilize the female gametes. But in case of female gametes, the 4 cells, just one survive, grow, give us the ovum to form ovum. The other, they are disappeared and degenerate, and we call it polar bodies. Well, this is a comparison between male gametes and female gametes, and we'll have also comparison between the internal and external fertilization. Again, we have comparison between the internal and external fertilization. As it exists, yep, we have a great difference between the internal fertilization and the external one. Let me to show that. Well, this is internal fertilization and external fertilization. Well, the first type, internal, it happens what? Inside the body of females. Okay, by mating. Okay, just by mating. By external, just biologic. Yes, I know that. It happens what? Excellent. Outside the body of female. Number 2, the internal, the female produces what? A few numbers of eggs. While in case of external, the female produces large number of eggs. What else? The external also happens in water, and embryo develops in water, okay, such as what? Such as amphibians, okay. The toad or frog, its fertilization happens externally, okay. When the female frog, when it lies the strabon of egg on the surface of the water, and the male fertilizes this strabon of the egg over the water, so the embryo, it develops in water, and after that it starts to grow. So everything happens in the water. Also, we have examples here for internal fertilization like mammals, birds, reptiles, some type of insects, and also some worms. While in case of external fertilization like bony fish, I mean fish that its internal, I mean in its internal skeleton made up of bones. Okay, we have two different types of when we have cartilaginous fish and we have bony fish. Okay, cartilaginous, its internal skeleton from cartilage, while in case of bony fish, which reproduce externally, their endoskeleton is made up of what are created from bones. Toads, frogs, some aquatic organism, some type of what of aquatic organism. Okay, like we do need much more examples. Okay. After that, we have something called alternation of generation, and actually it's one of the amazing fertilization or sexual reproduction. Well, the alternation of generation, from its name, something that alter or something that change between two different forms. Well, it's a type of reproduction in which the life cycle includes the two types, two generations. One of them reproduces sexually and other reproduces what? Asexually. Okay, and the other is alternates with the generation that reproduces asexually, and this is associated with a variation of chromosomal number. Because of what? Well, when I discussed with you in the previous lessons, as we said, the asexual reproduction, the environmental conditions or the individual cannot resist or cannot fit the environmental condition. In case of sexual reproduction, the environment can face the hard environmental conditions, okay, because the chromosomes, they came from both of male and female, so it carries the both genes or both chromosomes. While in case of alternation in generation, it has the both importance or the both advantages of sexual and asexual reproduction, as we're going to study that right now. So when I'm going to give reason for the alternation of generation gains the benefits of both sexual and asexual reproduction. What did you say about that? Yes, I need to squeeze your mind, because because we have what the asexual, it make the living organism or make the individual faces the hard environmental condition, and the asexual in the propagation and distribution for large number. So because they give large number of individuals in short time, like asexual reproduction, and at the same time it can face or resist or tolerate what the hard environmental conditions, like what? Like sexual reproduction. Get the difference? Yes. So we have asexual, there is no facing or resisting environmental conditions. Sexual, it can resist. Asexual, the both conditions, which is what alternation of generation, it can resist. It can carry or has the both benefits of sexual and asexual reproduction. At the end of our lesson today, I hope you learned more about the different types of sexual reproduction in the Spirogyra and the types of alternation of generation. Study hard. Goodbye. See you the next time.